Okay, well, I'm just about ready to get started, but I want to make sure I stress again, get out there and ask the questions. Today, I am going to review a little bit of the questions we've already talked about, and then I want you to go out there and be a broken record and use this stuff. I was looking through my notes and once again was noticing how I've approached the question, and that is, how do you teach Japanese to beginners? And time again, I come back to the answer. I think we should start with the five W's and an H: who, what, when, where, and why. So I might not go in exactly that order, but you should have noticed by now. Hopefully, you noticed that that's how I teach Japanese. I start with the questions, and it may seem like we're going slow. I know it's a slow start, but I'm really hoping that by going through it this way, you're gonna equip yourself with the ability to go out there and ask questions. So that way, you don't need to always use the translator app. You don't always need to, you know, bug or try to pull out a phrase book and look for the phrase, because you'll know enough question words and substitution and grammar that you'll be able to make the phrase yourself. So I hope this approach is working. That's the approach I'm taking: who, what, where, when, and why, and how eventually. And I'll take a quick look at some questions, and then I think I'm going to kick it off. So can we talk about cocoa? Oh yes, we're talking about cocoa today. Here. And then I was thinking about my neighbors for the strawberries and some kind of fish. Ah. So, yeah, korewa sakana. Well, that's great. I mean, that's the whole point of this class, is so that you hear and recognize, and then that you can reproduce, hopefully, what you learn. But definitely at first, oh, by the way, if you're feeling like, wow, I can hear and understand, but I just can't answer, that's pretty much everybody. So don't feel out of place with that. Okay? So you're among like company. That was the same way for me. So, without further ado, konbanwa, minasan. I am White Rice Sensei, Hakumai Sensei desu. And this is Enough Japanese, Lesson 3, where today we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff. So I hope you are ready. Let's kick off the class, and I will bring up the slides. Give me 1 second. Okay. So once again, this is Lesson 3, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so that you can catch all the other content I make. By the way, I don't just do live streaming classes, so if you want to look around at some of the other videos I've made, there's some cheesy ones. I'm not the best YouTuber out there, but there's some stuff that's out there that'll hopefully help you make your way around Japan, including some greetings, which we'll talk about at the end. Okay, so let's do a quick review of the first 2 weeks. Never hurts to drive home the introduction, self-introduction, and we'll build on this in coming weeks. So let's just repeat after me first of all. By now you should be ready to say this at regular speed. I'll go slow and then regular speed. Hajimemashite. Hajimemashite, which is like nice to meet you. And then when you want to say I'm Scott or I'm Joe or I'm Taka, it's just Sukoto desu. Sukoto desu. And you put your name in place of that. Okay? Sukoto desu. Now, if everybody's going around the room one at a time, you might want to add the watashi part. I am Joe. I am Scott. I am Taka. So that would be watashi wa Sukoto desu. Watashi wa Sukoto desu. And remember why I have the line through here. Okay, in Japanese, the subject can often be omitted, completely omitted. And you're going to see that time and time again. Okay? So, one more review question. The first week we did dare. Remember how to ask who? You can just say dare. Like if someone said, hey, are you talking to me? Dare? Right? Who? And dare means who. So in this case, these are my friends. Remember friends? Tomodachi. Tomodachi. And that's friend or friends. Remember, no plurals in Japanese. So if you wanted to ask this question, remember this is all revolving around having pictures on your smartphone and doing that kind of show and tell game, right? So you have your phone, you have some pictures of your friend, and somebody might ask, "Korewa dare?" "Korewa dare?" And just like that, we raise our intonation at the end to make it a question. The answer, of course, I'll point at the picture. Korewa, remember how to say my friend? Watashi no tomodachi. So if it's watashi, korewa watashi, this is me. But if it's something in relation to you, like your children, remember, kodomo, korewa watashi no kodomo. If it's your husband, korewa watashi no otto. Or your wife, watashi no tsuma. All right? You can always look back at the link there for more review on lesson 1. Alrighty? Now, from week 2, we first did who, now we do what. The word for what is nani. Nani. And this is a good question you can ask if someone said something and you didn't quite hear what they said. You just say, nani? Try that real quick. Nani? And that kind of indicates that you didn't hear or you didn't understand. It's like, what? Or what'd you say? Nani? Okay. Now here we have some steak, which could be meat or it could be beef. So if you remember how to say that, remember there's 2 options there. So the question is, Korewa nani? Korewa nani? Again, raising your intonation makes that a question. And you can ask that about anything. You can point at something on your plate, Korewa nani? And the answer for this one, do you remember how to say steak? By the way, you could say steaki. That's how you say steak. Or, in this case, this was my picture for niku. Korewa nani? Korewa niku. Now, in all of these questions, you haven't seen a single des. So these are all really casual ways of talking. And some Japanese teachers will say, well, that's not grammatical. But hey, that's what Japanese people talk. Korewa nani? Korewa niku. We're going to talk about politeness in just a second here. Okay, next. Our next nani is vegetables. This is a salad. Do you remember how to say vegetables? Vegetables. Okay. Now here is that polite expression I was talking about. So, これは何ですか? これは何ですか? And the deska at the end just makes that into a polite question. So, これは何? これは何ですか? And the answer, 野菜. 野菜. これは野菜です. これは野菜です. So if we wanted to say this is meat politely from that last slide, we want to add politeness, just add des. これは肉です. これは肉です. Okay? If you want to see more about lesson 2 and take a review, the link is posted here. So check the my channel, or this is in the slides I sent out. Next, we have all about the lesson 3. What is today's focus? The question is doko. Where? Repeat after me. Doko. Easy. All right. So the scenario is that we're trying to get someone's attention. We're out walking around. We're trying to figure out where is the something, right? Where is the something? And you know what's great? There's no the in Japanese. So you can say, where is the station? No, it's where is station? And you might say, where is the bus terminal? No, where is bus terminal? All right. By the way, I didn't put it in the slides because most people learn this almost immediately when they come to Japan. But how do you get someone's attention? Have you ever learned that yet? You want to get someone's attention. How do you say, excuse me? The easiest way is just to say, sumimasen. Sumimasen. All right. And I didn't write that out on the slides, but I will put that in the notes of this video later. Sumimasen. Or you'd actually say it more like, sumimasen. Sumimasen. Kind of in a high-pitched tone so that you'll get someone's attention. Okay? So today's focus, roughly, is about where is the station or where is the anything. Okay? And we're going to learn the pronouns for here, there, over there, and where. We're going to learn how to ask and answer the question, where is something? Okay? It's going to be a pretty easy lesson, but it's going to get harder throughout the weeks. Remember, this is your foundation. Alrighty. So, quick review about how pronouns work. In Japanese, this, that, and the other thing, okay? Everything that's a pronoun relates to the speaker. The Japanese pronouns relate to who's speaking. So now I'm speaking. So things close to me. Remember how to say this? Something close to me. Something within my arm's reach. Kore. Right? And something close to the listener. Sore. Something close to neither of us. Are. Are. Right? And this is going to be a pattern you see time and time again. In fact, we're going to build on it right now. So, here, there, over there, and where. By the way, this there, I'm talking about close to the speaker. I'm sorry, close to the listener. Okay, so let's get started. Here we go. Repeat after me. Koko. Koko. You might even want to, I don't know, I'd like to put that muscle memory. You can use your fingers. If you're sitting in a room with people, hey, they're going to be like, what are you doing? But koko. All right, that's close to you. You might use that when you're on the phone with somebody, right? How's the weather here? Okay. Usually if people are within earshot of you, they're also here anyway. So, but here, okay. Next, soko. Soko. Now that is close to the listener. Again, that works great over the phone because I'm here, koko, and you're there, soko. And if you're talking to somebody on the other side of Japan or across the ocean, soko, right? How's the weather there? What time is it there? Things like that. Okay? Now, for things that are close to neither of us, you have asoko. Asoko. So if you're pointing at something off in the distance, right? Asoko. Okay? Try that point, finger point. Close to neither the speaker nor the listener. And then the question word, like we said before, is just doko. Doko, right? Doko. Now, one quick thing to point out. Remember the rule from last week? If you took the lesson last week, remember the rule? Ko, so, a, do. Ko, so, a, do. Did you see those show up there? We're going to review that in a second. Another thing I want you to look at is check this out. I'm going to show it on the hiragana side. Ko, koko, so ko, aso ko, doko. So all of the pronouns relating to places end in ko. So they start in either ko, so, a, or do, and they all end in ko. So it's literally like a grid, a table. That's why I arranged it in this pattern, right? Koko, soko, asoko, doko. And then the only thing to note here is that the so right here, remember we had kore, sore, are, dore? We didn't have asore, but in this case for the location pronouns, we do have this so. This is kind of unique, right? So this is just unique to place pronouns. Just remember it. You're just going to have to remember that basically. Asoko. Okay? Ko, so, a, do. So here's a review of the pronouns we talked about last week. I know I've already done it, but kore. Remember, kore, sore, are, dore. Same thing stands true. Remember, ko, so, a, do. And then these all end in re. Kore, sore, are, dore. Right? So, in other words, if you hear a pronoun that ends in re, it's a thing pronoun. And if you hear a pronoun that ends in ko, it's what kind of pronoun? A place pronoun. Sorry, my cats are going crazy. Asoko. Go asoko. Okay, so the ko, so, a, do. Remember, this is the secret to Japanese pronouns. I'm just going to go through the rule one more time. I might do this in another week as well, but ko, close to speaker. So, close to listener. A, close to neither. And do is the question word. And this is true for every pronoun I've ever heard of so far. They always, whatever it starts with, ko, so, a, do, it relates to the speaker. Okay, ko, so, a, do. All right, so back to the question word of the day. Doko. Doko. By the way, I'm putting all these hiragana up here, hopefully just to pound that into your brain. You might not be studying hiragana. I know some people aren't going to. Hey, I hope you will someday, but I know you might not. But while I talk, just look at these hiragana, because you're actually going to probably start to recognize them. All right, so let's talk vocabulary. These are all location nouns or nouns related to places. And I'm starting with some transportation hubs. So here we go. Repeat after me. By the way, this is usually used for train stations, right? Eki. Eki. Okay? And sometimes you'll see the name of a town or a cho before the name of the station. So, Sasebo Eki. Sasebo Eki. Easy day. It's not iki, eki. Eki. Next, we have an airport. Man, I haven't been in an airport in like almost 2 years. I am ready to get traveling. I don't know about you. Let's end this COVID thing as soon as possible. Airport is kuko. Kuko. Now, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but there's a double vowel sound here on ku and a double vowel sound. You have ou. Okay, that just lengthens the o sound. Kuko. At normal speed, it sounds like this. Kuko. Kuko. Got it? Next, if you're in Japan long enough, I hope eventually you'll get to take a ferry. You get to go to all those cool islands. There's like over 2,000 islands, by the way, in Japan. Or is it 4,000? Look it up. So the word for harbor is minato. 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 And here in Sasebo, we have a minato right by the Gobangai Mall. Okay? Minato. Then we have a word that comes from English, and it's going to sound really crazy. We don't even really say bus center. I think we say bus depot, but in Japanese, it becomes bus center. And it sounds like this. I'll say it slow. Basu center. Basu center. Okay? A little faster. Basu center. Basu center. And another thing that's great for getting around Japan, if you're on a budget, then the sleeper buses. 6 to 8 hour bus ride, but you get to sleep. Nice recliner chairs, usually 3 seats in a row. They're great. Wake up in your destination. All right, next. Places around town. The Yubinkyoku. The post office, right? Yubinkyoku. 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 And be on the lookout for that little flat looking T with the horizontal line on top of it. That's the JP, Japanese Post Office, right? JP. They're also the biggest bank in Japan. Next, convenience store. Oh man, speaking of convenience, Japanese people made it really convenient to say. They cut off half the letters, okay? It's just going to sound like this. Konbini. Konbini. At normal speed, konbini. Konbini. All right? 7-Eleven, Family Mart, Lawson. What's your favorite? Now, another convenient word that they cut off, okay? We take the word for supermarket, grocery store, and it just becomes this. Super. Super. And again, double vowels on the u sound and double vowels on the ah sound. In katakana, you get that line there. When you see that in katakana, that makes the vowel longer, okay? Super. Super. All right. Where are you going to park at? Most post offices, convenience stores, and supermarkets have chushajo. Chushajo. Okay, that is the parking lot. All right. A couple more locations and we'll move on. So, they probably stole the word restaurant from French. They don't say the last T. That's all there is to it. Restaurant. Restaurant. And said at normal speed, it sounds more like restaurant. Restaurant. Now that's kind of more of like the family restaurant, the foreign restaurant, or a place where you take your family and you sit down. Not necessarily open late. Usually no smoking. There might be. As opposed to a Japanese kind of, not a sports bar, but a kind of a pub. with food and snacks, okay? That is called a izakaya. Izakaya. And I just put it as izakaya because I don't want to conflate this with a pub. It's not necessarily a pub. Some are more like restaurants. And it's not necessarily a restaurant because there's usually tobacco and a lot of different kinds of drinks. So it's kind of a gray area. Is it a restaurant? Is it a bar? It's kind of both, okay? Izakaya. Somewhere like Chili's on more of a adult mode than a family mode, right? Or like Applebee's. Okay. Next, I'm going to give you 2 words for bathroom and pick your favorite, okay? The borrowed word from English or French, whatever it may be, is toire. Toire. And pretty easy. I'm not even going to say it again. We have the Japanese word. Sorry, my cat is distracting me. All right. Next, we have the Japanese word. Now, this is kind of a euphemism for the word toilet. It actually, if you looked and if you knew kanji, it's actually spelled out hand wash. These are the kanji for hand and wash. So you're actually talking about where's the hand wash place, but it's a euphemism for the toilet. It means the same as toire. So let's say it real quick, slowly. Otearai. Otearai. Said a little quicker. Otearai. Otearai. Okay? And I would be remiss to not mention how people usually greet you when you walk into a convenience store or a restaurant or things like that. So somebody actually asked me this question. And by the way, I'm always looking for questions. They wanted to know, what do people say when you walk in the store? Here's how it goes. Ready? I'm going to say it Japanese speed. Irashaimase! Irashaimase! I actually worked at a restaurant, so that's what I had to say. Irashaimase! Now said a little slowly. It's irashai, irashaimase, irashaimase. So now you know what they're saying. All right? It's kind of like welcome, or it's kind of like come on in. Come on in. And it's said in many different types of businesses. Like I said, it goes from anywhere from like a family restaurant or izakaya. Sometimes a small sports shop might say that. A big box store might not. Maybe your big home centers like NAFCO or Konen, they might not. But smaller businesses, irashaimase. Okay? Especially restaurants and bars. Yeah. And oh, by the way, you ever hear him? One guy says it or one girl says it, then everybody echoes it. Irashaimase. Irashaimase! And for you, as the customer, there's no need to reply. I mean, unless you know the people there, you've been there a lot, you could say, konbanwa, konnichiwa, but you don't need to reply. And then another thing that's weird I noticed is like as you're walking around, some people, you might have been in the store for 10 minutes, but someone might come up to you and be like, irashaimase. It's just their inviting way of saying like, enjoy your time here, like make yourself at home. So don't feel weird. It doesn't just mean come in the first time. It's like, hey, you know, how are you doing? Have a good shopping experience. Alrighty? So there's some questions coming up here. Sensei wa toire ga suki desu ka? Yeah. Okay. I'm going to leave off questions for now and move on. All right. So the phrase of the day, the phrase that pays. If you're completely lost in Japan, if you're visiting Tokyo and you got in a subway, you're underground, you got out of the subway, you popped up an elevator, you walk out in the street and you're like, this is not where I'm meant to be. And the first thing you might want to do is walk up to that train station attendant and you're going to ask this simple question. Let's break it down. How do you say here, by the way? How do you say here? Koko. Remember? Koko. So here. Now wa, we're going to talk more about particles, but wa just makes here the subject of the sentence. And then how do you say where? Where? Doko. So it's kind of a weird roundabout way to say it. Here is where. Koko wa doko? Koko wa doko? Try it with me. Koko wa doko? All right. So that's your like completely lost. You have no idea where you are. All right. Now I'm going to put it into the casual phrase here. Anytime you see the text in a blue box, that's just a phrase. Just remember that phrase. Koko wa doko? Koko wa doko? Yep. And to be more polite, do you remember how to make a question polite? Pretty easy. We're going to just add deska, right? Koko wa doko desu ka? Koko wa doko desu ka? You got it? One more time. Koko wa doko desu ka? That's a word you might want to ask. I mean, if you're really stuck and you don't know where passerby, if they don't look too busy, but definitely if you can find a train attendant or a taxi driver. A taxi driver might be good too. All right? But remember how to get their attention? Sumimasen. Sumimasen. Koko wa doko desu ka? You got your sumimasens down? Perfect. Alrighty. So, again, I teach this class from the angle of you're probably sitting next to somebody and you might have to do that whole show and tell thing. Your conversations are slow, but you just want to show about your family, your friends, where you're from. So, you might have a picture of your hometown or where you're currently living, like me in Sasebo, and a person might look at your phone and they want to know, where is this, right? Where is this? So they're going to point at the picture and repeat after me. Korewa doko? Korewa doko? It could be kind of two ways. Korewa doko? Doko? And that's just simply asking, where is this? Right? And there's no deska, so it's a casual expression. Remember, no deska, casual question. Korewa doko? Anybody know from my picture where that is? That's just near my house. That is the Sasebo Kyujuku or Kujuku Shima, 99 islands. All right, one more time. Korewa doko? All right, so let's make that into a polite expression. Again, from where you're sitting, you might be pointing at somebody's picture and you want to know it's sitting on their phone, right? What would you change? From kore to sore, right? Kore becomes sore. And if it's over there on the wall, hey, where is that on the wall? Are wa doko? Okay? But for practice sake, let's just ask, where is this? So you're pointing at somebody else's, at your phone or somebody else's phone, and you're sitting close enough to touch it, okay? Kore wa doko desu ka? Kore wa doko desu ka? Easy day, right? Same exact meaning as kore wa doko. Kore wa doko desu ka? Where is this? Where is this? And because it has desu ka, it's a polite question. Okay? So let's try a couple. So you're now in a situation where you're maybe lost, all right? And here is the substitution one-size-fits-all question you'll want to ask. Blank wa doko? Blank wa doko? Okay? That's a casual expression, right? And blank wa doko desu ka? Blank wa doko desu ka? So maybe you're in Shinjuku and you're walking around and you're lost in the urban jungle and you're trying to find Shinjuku Station. Shinjuku eki wa doko desu ka? Shinjuku eki wa doko desu ka? Okay, that works for anything. Where's Kyoto? Kyoto wa doko desu ka? All right, so let's look at an example. Remember, using this little figure here, okay, we have the speaker, we have the listener, that girl, and then we have the 7-Eleven store. It's close to neither of them, okay? How do you say convenience store in Japanese? I hope you didn't forget already. Konbini. Konbini. By the way, that should be spelled with a K. It's my own cognitive dissonance, okay? Konbini. So, you're the speaker and you want to ask casually, remember this says casual right here. You ask casually, where is the convenience store? Blank wa doko, right? Konbini wa doko? Konbini wa doko? And the listener, all right, she's going to answer, konbini wa asoko. Asoko, right? So in this case, over there is the pronoun asoko. Pretty easy, isn't it? Now, by the way, if you're the listener and you're answering a question, you know where the konbini is. You don't have to say konbini wa, konbini wa, konbini wa every time. You could simply just say asoko. So one more time. Pretend you're the listener and you're just going to answer my question. I'm saying to you, where's the convenience store? And you're going to answer, okay? Konbini wa doko? Asoko, right? Okay? We have a couple more. And these are going to be polite. Are you ready? Ooh, we have the bathroom. You're at the restaurant. You're looking for the bathroom. Everybody wants to know this expression. If you have a notebook, write it down. If you don't have a notebook, get it and write it down. Where is the bathroom? Toilet, right? Toire, or tearai, right? O tearai. Toire, o tearai. Whichever one you prefer, whichever one is easy. Now, it's a polite question. The toilet is where? Blank wa doko desu ka? Blank wa doko desu ka? Easy day. I chose toire. Toire wa doko desu ka? Toire wa doko desu ka? Now the listener, remember, they don't have to say toire wa, right? What are they going to say? Over there. But politely, so check this out. Asoko desu. Asoko desu. By the way, it's usually not so obvious, and they're probably going to give you like, go down the hallway and it's on the right or the left. I'll give you the right and left stuff hopefully next week. But asoko desu for today. Okay? One more. So this is Tokyo Station. And most Japanese people would know this from the picture right away. But if you've never been there, cool place to visit. Tokyo Station. Okay? Now, the way we get to it, do you remember how to put Tokyo Station into Japanese? Blank eki, right? Blank eki. So that just becomes Tokyo eki. Tokyo eki. Now, if you wanted to ask where is Tokyo Station, Tokyo eki wa doko desu ka? Tokyo eki wa doko desu ka? All right. Now, again, the listener, they're going to be polite, and they're not going to say Tokyo eki, Tokyo eki. So just asoko desu, asoko desu. From the building, by the way, that doesn't even look like a station, does it? I might not even understand. Could have been right in front of your face, right? Tokyo eki wa asoko desu. Now, my wife reminded me, you ask a Japanese person and you ask in Japanese, they might actually use the expression achira. Achira. It's a similar meaning, okay, to asoko. Achira. And it, once again, starts out with a, so it means close to neither of us. So you can bet your buns that there's kochira and sochira as well. Why did I say bet your buns? My gosh. Okay, so let's do a quick review session. This is week 3, and each week we've had a topical question. So since it's on top of our minds, let's start with where is this? And we're going to start with a casual. Where is the blank, right? Where is the blank? So blank wa doko? Blank wa doko? Where's the supermarket? Supa wa doko? Okay? Now, how would you say who is this, right? The blank. Who is this? Okay? Blank wa dare? Blank wa dare? So who is that over there? Are wa dare? Are wa dare? Next. Oh, I jumped ahead. Did you see it? Okay. What was the word for what again? Do you remember? It was nani, obviously. Okay. Blank wa nani? Blank wa nani? We might say kore wa nani, right? Kore wa nani? Okay. So now let's look at the polite versions real quick. I'll do it a little faster this time. Remember we were asking where's the supermarket? Supa wa doko desu ka? Supa wa doko desu ka? Next we have blank wa dare desu ka? So if it's somebody on a picture, right? Somebody on a picture. これは誰ですか? これは誰ですか? Okay? Now let's say you're getting a course meal at a nice restaurant and you want to say, what is this? What is this? You're not sure if you can eat it. Maybe you have an allergy or something. So you ask the server, これは何ですか? これは, right? これは何ですか? Now, don't forget, in Japanese there are contractions. So the casual version was nani, but the polite version is nan desu ka. Remember, nan desu ka. You could ask nani desu ka, but it sounds a little weird. Just saying, okay? So, one more expression, now that you know how to say where, which is what? Doko, right? So where are you from? Now you're probably going to get asked this a lot, especially if you don't look Asian. I mean, I know me, I'm as white as they come. So everybody asks me, where are you from? Where are you from? And some people even try to ask if I'm from England or, Norway. You look German, something like that. So, but if you want to ask somebody else where they're from, they're probably going to say Japan, first of all, but you might want to say, yeah, where in Japan, okay? Where in Japan? Here's the universal term. So it's going to start with something wa doko desu ka? And the word for your place of origin or your birth town is Shushing. Shushing. Okay? Now this is a little tricky because it has the double consonant right before a sh. Okay? But it looks like this. One more time. Shushing. Shushing. And it comes out like this. Shushing wa doko desu ka? Shushing wa doko desu ka? And then your answer, you could either just name the place right away. Now, for people that don't want to say they're from I don't know, somewhere rural because it's too hard to explain, you might just want to say I'm from, I don't know, Texas. If you're from Louisiana, they might know it, they might not. If you're from Oklahoma, they might know it, they might not. But if you want to just say you're from Texas, Shushin wa Texas. Texas desu. Okay? Or you could just answer, if someone said, Shushin wa doko desu ka? For me, I would just say, Minnesota. Minnesota. Easy day. And then you could ask them the same question, right? Shushin wa doko desu ka? And if they say, Nihon, and you're like, well, yeah. Nihon no doko desu ka? Try that. Nihon no doko desu ka? So if you say you're from America, Shushin wa doko desu ka? America. They might actually say, America no doko desu ka? America no doko desu ka? That means where in America. Okay? And by the way, if you're from a place you think is hard to pronounce, or you're from a different country than America and you want to know how to say that, either A, Google it, or B, ask me in a question. Right? Okay. And that literally, I mean, the best way to translate it is, where are you from? Where are you from? And you should always add the Deska, because probably if you're asking somebody where they're from, you're not on first name basis yet. So you might want to use the Deska, right? You wouldn't say Shushin wa doko. That's a little forward if you just met somebody. Alrighty? And remember, I didn't put it in here in translation, but Shushin itself means the place of origin, or your place of origin. All right. At this point, let's review a couple of grammar patterns that we've talked about so far. So the first one, A is B, or A is B. Remember, Japanese doesn't have articles like and an. So you just need to know A is B. Okay? A wa B. Watashi wa skoto. Kore wa iPhone. Easy day. Now these are casual, remember, no des. They're casual because there's no des. Des makes it polite. So you're simply saying A is B. I am Scott. Or this is an iPhone. But it's easier in Japanese because there's no or an. Kore wa iPhone. Kore wa iPhone. Alright? And now we're going to do the question version of that. Is A a B? So it's actually the same thing. A wa B. But remember, you gotta raise your tone with the question mark, right? Is A a B? Check it out. From the case, you might not be able to tell it's an iPhone. Korewa iPhone? Korewa iPhone? That's all there is to it to be a casual question. Korewa iPhone? Okay. But you can tell by the cool camera that it's an iPhone. All right. Sorry, I'm not a big fanboy, but I like my iPhone. Now, to make it polite, you should already know the answer to what's coming, but how do you make this sentence polite? I hope you said you just add des to it. You just add des. A wa b. Oops, sorry, the order was not there. A wa b des. A wa b des. Oh, and that was my mistake. This should not be a casual. This is a polite conversation, okay? So A is a B. Korewa iPhone desu. Got it? Watashi wa sukoto desu. And that just makes it a polite expression, just by adding des. All right? And then the last grammar pattern of today, and I know the order is going to be off, so I'm just going to push through it. Blank wa blank deska. It's all over the place. A wa B deska. So A can be anything like kore, sore, are, and B can be any noun. And then just adding deska makes it a polite question. So, kore wa iPhone desu ka? Kore wa iPhone desu ka? Or if you're like, is that a station? Is that a station? Like the Tokyo Station building, kind of ambiguous. It's like, looks really nice and ornate. Are wa, or asoko wa, are wa or asoko wa, eki desu ka? Are wa eki desu ka? Let's think of another one. How would you ask, is this, or are these vegetables, right? Are these vegetables? Kore wa yasai desu ka? What's another one we've talked about so far? Is this a supermarket? Is this a supermarket? Kore wa super desu ka? Kore wa super desu ka? Okay. Good question from Lisa. So, do you add ka only when asking a question? Yes, pretty much. Ka, and ka is usually only used with des or mas, so it comes kind of as a pair. Deska. If you hear deska with a raising intonation, that's always a question. And ka. Hold on. Hey, do you ever hear ka without a question?
Without a question.
Yeah. Do you ever hear it?
No,
Yeah. So good question, Lisa. Ka is, yes, it's only used with a question or a rhetorical question, but we're not that advanced yet. Alrighty. So that's a particle. By the way, you'll see I've already started to put all of the particles that I use in red. So if you know what a particle is, that's great for you. We're going to talk about that in a coming lesson. I didn't want to confuse anybody early on. So, A wa B desu ka? So if I was going to... no, let's not go into that. All right. So that is 45 minutes into the lesson. So I'll go ahead and wrap it up for today. As I just kind of speak my blurb here, if there's any other questions, I will be watching the chat. I did want to point out somebody else in a email or question to me asked about greetings. So I actually enlisted the help of my friend's son, and he's half Japanese, but his first language is Japanese. So he and I kind of interact here in this video, and you can look it up for conversational Japanese greetings if you look it in YouTube, or you can just go to my channel, and this will give you some casual everyday greetings, and kind of explain the difference of casual versus polite as well. There are some polite expressions in there. So check that one out. There's a couple more videos like that. And then just like every week, hopefully I'll have the practice quiz out soon, sooner than later. All right, I have a very wise friend in the audience, Lars, and he said soka. Soka is not always a question though. So soka is like aha. So if somebody just told you, you know, That's why dogs don't lay eggs, because they're mammals. And you're like, oh, got it. Then you can say, soka, soka. And that's not really a question, but it's, I don't know, Lars, that's a gray area. All right. So look out for the practice quiz that'll be coming up. I will email that out and hopefully link it to the description of the video. Any other questions? All right. Well, that'll be a wrap then for lesson 3. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a great day. お疲れ様です。